Warning. Actonville TV disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the host, authors, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any religious affiliation.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam. Welcome to the show, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Alright, for those of you who just joined us, we are kicking off the show a little late today as we had a few technical difficulties in studio. But hey, it's better late than never. Alright, so welcome to the show, everybody. You are currently streaming live with us in Lenasia South on Actonville TV. It's for everyone. I'm your host, Kimera Heeralal. And you're welcome to join the show and interact with us in studio today by commenting at the bottom of the screen since we are live. Or if you wish to keep your views and comments and beliefs anonymous, you're welcome to use our WhatsApp line, which you'll find at the bottom right of the screen throughout the entire show. So let's get to it as we are discussing a Hindu show. This is the journey, and it's about exploring Hinduism. And as you know, before we do anything, before we continue, or should I say start anything rather, in Hinduism, we must go to Lord Ganesha first and praise him. Helping us do this today, we have a baby Nishara all the way in Durban as she's kicking us off with Vigneshwara Gananatha Gajanana. Ganesha. What a beautiful way to open up the show this evening. And baby Nishara, all the way from Durban, has helped us to do that, as the show is now well blessed to continue with our teachings, as well as it's hitting your screens, you are totally blessed. Now, if you are watching the show for the very first time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. And don't forget, because we are live, you can comment and share your views, your beliefs, and well, whatever you might think of the show, you're welcome to comment at the bottom of the screen. Alright, so this is episode 114, ladies and gentlemen, 114, and this show is about life and technique of Lord Buddha. That's what we're talking about this evening. But before we get to it, let's take a quick break, recuperate ourselves, and we'll get straight to our teachings.
See flooring differently. Innova Floor Santam. Contact us today.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam. Welcome back, everybody. Alright, so as we are streaming live, we are educating you about Lord Brahma this evening, and this topic is titled Life and Technique of Lord Brahma. Now, I've got Shashi Gosain, who's of Lord Buddha, sorry. We're talking about life and technique of Lord Buddha. Now, we have Shashi Gosain, who's joining us on our screens in studio, and well, she's all the way in London, so I wish she could be sitting right next to me as we educate on this topic. And well, we also want to hear from all of the people who do praise and worship Lord Buddha himself. Interact with us in studio today. As you can see, he's by my side in studio, which is quite beautiful, I think. Alright, so join the conversation, interact with us during our teachings. There might be a few things I feel I might have left out or Shashi Gosain might have missed. You can share your views, your comments, your beliefs, or even your granny's tales, whatever you learned growing up, as this is a religious platform and teaching platform, as well as it's open to the public, and there might be a few things we might have missed. Alright, so before we get to Shashi Gosain, she wanted to talk to us about who's Buddha, who is Lord Buddha, and she wants to share a bit of Buddha's story with you, and she also wants to talk about a Gautama, that is Gautama Buddha, also sharing with you the title of the show, Life and Technique of Lord Brahma. But before we get to that, let's put a little bit of an introduction to the Buddha, Lord Buddha. Now, the Buddha, also known as Siddhartha Gautama, most commonly referred to as the Buddha, meaning the awakened. All right. So, as a wandering ascetic and religious teacher, he also lived in South Asia during the 6th or 5th century BCE, and was founded Buddhism. Okay. So, if you look at it, according to the Buddhist tradition, he was born in Lumbini and what is now Nepal. Now, to royal parents of Shakya clan, but renounced his home life to live as a wandering ascetic. In Sanskrit, they call it the Shramana. Now, after leading a life of mendicancy, asceticism, and meditation, he attained enlightenment at Bodh Gaya in what is now called India. All right, and the Buddha thereafter wandered through the lower Indigo, or they call it the Indo-Gangetic plain. So the teaching and the building of the monastic order, he taught a middle way between sensual indulgence and severe asceticism. Now, leading this to nirvana, that is the freedom from ignorance, craving, rebirth, and suffering. His teachings are summarized in the Noble Eightfold Path, a training of the mind that includes, ethical training, meditative practices such as your sense restraint, kindness towards others, mindfulness, and jhana dhyana, meaning meditation proper. So he died in Kushinagar, attaining parinirvana. The Buddha has since been venerated by numerous religions and communities across Asia. Now, a couple of centuries after his death, he came to be known by the title Buddha. Now, which means awakened one, or you can also say enlightened one. Now, his teachings were compiled by the Buddhist community in the Vinaya. His codes for monastic practice and the Sutta Pitaka, a compilation of teachings based on his discourses. Now, they were passed down in the Middle Indo-Aryan dialects through an oral tradition. Later, generations composed additional texts such as the systematic treatises known as Abhidharma. Biographies are also out there of Buddha, collections of stories about his past lives known as Jataka tales. And I mean, I've never known this before, but this is my first time hearing of the Jataka tales. Now, if you want to interact with us and share with us a little bit more about this, please do, as you will be helping us do our show on education this evening. Now, if you look at his biographies, they also have additional discourses. That is your Mahayana Sutras, which a lot of people know about. Now, before we continue with the origins of Lord Buddha, let's jump all the way to London, as Shashi Gusain is going to talk to us and educate us about who Buddha is and Buddha's story. She's going to share with you about the Gautama Buddha and also the life and technique of Lord Buddha. Let's jump to Shashi Gusain all the way in London.
Namaste, I'm Shashi Gusain. Today I would like to talk about perhaps one of the most iconic figures in religion, and that's the Buddha. I once went to a small country called Laos, and there was a cave in there which had a collection of more than 1,000 Buddhas of different sizes, made of different materials: gold, silver, bronze, jade, marble, wood, to name a few. And it was amazing to see the devotion with which Buddha was worshipped in his time. Now, since the biographies were written more than a century after his death, there is no single conclusive text which is agreed upon by all the Buddhist countries. The oldest manuscript was found in Afghanistan, dating more than 1 century BC. Buddha is depicted as a very serene man with this aura about him. And he wasn't a god, he was a man who found enlightenment. And the reason he is respected is because he showed the principles of life which can give us all enlightenment. So let's have a look at Buddha and what he stood for. Siddhartha Buddha was born in 567 BC in the Kosala region of ancient India, which is now in Nepal. And he died in Kasya, India at the age of 80. He was a philosopher, a spiritual leader, and the founder of Buddhism, which is now the 4th largest religion in the world, with over 600 million followers. Prince Siddhartha was born in a royal family of the Kshatriya clan called Gautama. His father was King Shuddhodhana and mother was Maya Devi, who died soon after his death. He was brought up by his aunt Prajapati. The birthday of Buddha is celebrated as Vesak, which falls on the first full moon in May. According to legend, during his birth celebrations, there was a seer called Asita who saw that this little child had 32 marks, and these marks or attributes indicated that he was going to be a great religious leader. Siddhartha enjoyed a very opulent life within the palace walls. His father shielded him from all the calamities that were going outside, of sickness, death, and old age. At the age of 16, he married a beautiful princess called Yashodhara. However, when he was 29, his life took a turn. He asked his father, who was the king, if he could go and see the kingdom in his chariot. The king gave the permission, but first he got all the old and sick people removed from all the streets. But there's one old man who escaped the notice. So Prince had never seen an old shriveled up man before. So this sight was very strange to him, and he asked his companion what was wrong with this person. And the companion told him that this was an old sick man and that we're all going to become old and sick at some stage in our life. Siddhartha was absolutely shocked. He could not believe what he'd just heard and seen. The first trip was then followed by 3 separate excursions outside the palace walls. In the first trip, he saw a sick man, and then a corpse being carried to the cremation ground, and finally a man seated in meditation beneath a tree. Siddhartha was shocked and disturbed, and he asked the king for permission to go and retire to the forest. First the king refused, but then when Siddhartha asked him, is there any way he can guarantee that the king himself won't become old, frail, sick, or even lose his fortune? The king said no, he couldn't, and eventually did give the permission so that he could go and just find himself. Siddhartha left the palace walls, his wife and his young son Rahul, and retired to the forest to find out about life, death, and the state that's beyond it. He traveled to the river Anomia. He shaved off his head. He put on this robe that had been given by a Brahma deity. And then he only ate what was put on his begging bowl. Over the next 6 years, the prince studied meditation and the art of blissful concentration. He then joined a group of 5 ascetics who showed him the extreme forms of self-mortification. The prince excelled in these practices and eventually reduced his intake to 1 pea. You'll often see art where you see Buddha lying in this meditative position with sunken eyes and protruding ribs. But he realized that this self-mortification was not the way to relieve suffering. The prince vowed that he was going to sit under a tree till he'd found a state beyond birth and death. There's even a legend that when he was meditating, he was attacked by wind, rain, rocks, weapons, hot coals, ashes, which were hurled by Mara, the god of desire. Mara knew that the prince was seeking to put an end to desire and thereby free himself from Mara's control. He transformed this hail of fury into a blossom of flowers. He remained unmoved and sat there meditating, undisturbed. One day, after years of meditation, he awakened from this sleep of ignorance and found the freedom from suffering. During the first watch of the night, he had a vision of all his past lives, recollecting his place of birth, name, caste, and even the food he had eaten. In the second watch of the night, he saw how beings rise and fall through the cycle of rebirth as a consequence of their past deeds. In the third watch of the night, the hours before dawn, he was liberated. He had found the path of life, the noble eightfold path. This happened under a peepal tree in Bodh Gaya in Bihar in India. He had understood that the cycle of life and death was an entrapment. It was due to past actions called karma. It was just misery. And it was only through spiritual journey that one can get liberated from this cycle. He reveled in this experience and stayed for another 7 years near this tree. He'd become enlightened. He'd become the Buddha, and he discovered 4 fundamental truths. The first one, suffering or dukkha exists. There's a cause for suffering. There is an end to suffering. And in order to end suffering, you must follow the eightfold path. The noble eightfold path is the path which leads to the end of suffering. The 4 truths seem to be based upon the Hindu Ayurveda diagnosis system, which is disease, pathogen, health, and cure. He decided to enroll more disciples to spread his beliefs. He had this dream that his original 5 comrades were in a deer park in Varanasi. He went to find them. And when he did, they all rose to greet him, and they asked him what he had learned since they had left. And he replied, "The wheel of dharma is in motion." Buddha then traveled throughout the Ganges plain with his disciples, teaching the spiritual path, and he built a large following. They initially taught meditation techniques, yoga, monastic life, and the philosophy on life, for example, karma. Buddha's teachings were compiled in the sutras, which contain the discourses and individual events in his life that led to his enlightenment 6 years later. the Vinaya, which has the codes for monastic practice, and later generations added the Abhidharma, the biographies of Buddha, and the Jataka tales, the collection of stories about his past life and prediction of becoming a future Buddha. In the first sermon, Buddha spoke about the middle way between the extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. He described both as fruitless. Buddha described the Noble Eightfold Path. And the first one was the right view, which is called karma. All our actions will have consequences after death. The right intention, the renunciation of the home and adopting the life of a monk, which aids in the contemplation of impermanence, suffering, non-self. The right speech, no lying or any rude words. The right action, no killing or injuring and not taking what is not given, and no sexual acts. The right livelihood, beg to feed, only possessing what is essential to sustain life. The right effort, preventing the arise of desires. Right mindfulness, being mindful of the right teachings, being conscious of one's actions. Right meditation, practicing 4 stages of meditation, resulting in equanimity. A few days after his first sermon, Buddha's original 5 comrades became members of Sangha, which became a community of monks. Buddha's fame, popularity, teaching started to spread. He got more disciples and became a very popular movement throughout Asia. When Buddha's father, the king, heard that Buddha was still alive, he sent many delegations to persuade Buddha to come back to the palace. These delegations, instead of giving the invitation, joined him as his disciples and became monks in his Sangha. But the 10th messenger did manage to persuade him, and Buddha came back to the palace. But he was greeted with disrespect by the elders. At this stage, Buddha miraculously got fire and water coming out of his body, and the elders bowed down in reverence to see that he was something very different, somebody special that they had to respect. The next day, because they didn't think they had to invite him for lunch, Buddha went from door to door begging for food, which was normal for monks, instead of going to the palace for lunch. His wife Yashodhara had remained faithful to him. When he came back to the palace, she put her head by his feet, and she eventually became a nun and joined the order of the nuns that he created later. She sent their young son Rahul to go and see his father, and the Buddha ordained him as a monk. This dismayed the king. The king explained to Buddha of the pain he had had when he saw his own son had renounced the world, the palace. And he asked Buddha for one promise, that in future no son can renounce and become a monk without the permission of the father. And this the Buddha agreed to and became one of the orders for monastic life. Buddha spent the next 45 years of his life with his disciples, teaching the Dharma, the practice of refuge and meditation, the 5 precepts, which are not to kill humans, steal, engage in sexual misconduct, lie, or use intoxicants. His disciples joined the Sangha, which is a community of monks, and they traveled far and wide, spreading Buddhism throughout Asia. At the request of his aunt Prajapati, he set up a separate group for women who wanted to follow his teachings. He set up an order for nuns. There were patrons who set up shelters for the disciples, which later became monasteries. The early Buddhist texts depict Buddha promoting the celibacy, homelessness, and begging for food. They were not meant to store any food. They had to rely on the local community to give them food and lodgings. A dispute arose within the community. His first cousin Devdatta wanted to become the successor, but he had a very extreme view of how monks should live, for example in the open, which Buddha refused. Devdatta tried to kill him 3 times. Buddha, before his death, had mentioned to his companion Ananda that he could increase his lifespan if he wanted. But Mara, the god he had defeated, appeared and reminded the Buddha of his promise to him, made shortly after his enlightenment, to pass into nirvana when his teaching was complete. Ananda begged him not to do so, but Buddha told him his time had come to go. He requested that after his cremation, his ashes should be distributed amongst his followers and to be enshrined in these hemisphere structures called stupas. His body lay in a coffin for 7 days before his cremation. After his cremation, 7 armed men came from other regions demanding the relics. In order to avert bloodshed, a monk divided the relics into 8 portions. It said that the 10 sets of relics were enshrined, 8 from portions of the Buddha's remains, 1 from the pyre's ashes, and 1 from the bucket used to divide the remains. The relics were subsequently collected and put in one stupa. More than a century later, King Ashoka distributed these to 84,000 stupas. Stupas are the physical reminder of Buddha in this world, despite having passed on to nirvana. There are 3 types of nirvana. The first one, nirvana with remainder. So this is when he received the enlightenment. It's the karmas that remain after nirvana. Secondly, nirvana without remainder, that happened at his death because nothing remained to be reborn after his death. The third one, the final nirvana of the relics. According to Buddhist beliefs, one day the relics will reassemble to form the Buddha seated in the lotus posture under the Bo tree, emitting rays that will light up 10,000 worlds. They will be worshipped by the gods one last time before bursting into flames and disappearing. Buddhists pay homage to Buddha's metaphorical body called the dharmas, such as wisdom, compassion, fortitude, and patience. The physical and mental qualities of Buddha are written in poetry in a series of epithets. These epithets were commented upon in texts inscribed on stupas, recited aloud in rituals, and contemplated in meditation. In Hinduism, Buddha is considered the 9th avatar of Lord Vishnu. Hinduism and Buddhism is very similar apart from 2 facts. The first one is that Buddhists do not believe in Atma or the self, and nor do they believe in God. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to a little bit of Hinduism and the offshoots that came from them. I shall be bringing some more. This is Shashi Kasai in London. Thank you.
A very big thank you to Shashi Gasai, all the way in London, helping us out with our topic of conversation today as we are discussing life and technique of Lord Buddha. She helped us out to actually understand who Buddha is. She spoke about Buddha's story. She mentioned the Gautama Buddha as well as life and technique of Lord Buddha. Now, if you missed anything, feel free to scroll on the live bar on the YouTube channel, as you can start from the very beginning if you just got in. I understand how that works, or you could just click on this link a little bit later and watch the show again from the very beginning. As well, coming up next, we've got a Priyol Pillai standing by for you, as he's also from Durban, and today he's performing for us Malaya Nuri Angalia. Check it out.
Amma Karpura Nayagiye Kanagavalli Amma Kali Magamai Karumariyamma Por Koval Konda Ivagami Amma Povirandavalli Devani Amma. கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே அங்காளம்மா
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
அங்காள ஈஸ்வரியே தாயே அங்காள ஈஸ்வரியே எங்கள் ஆதிபர சக்தி அம்மா அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே அங்காளம்மா
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
பாமலையே கோடி தருவாய் தாயே பாமலையே கோடி தருவாய் எங்கள் ஆதிபர சக்தி அம்மா அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே அங்காளம்மா
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
பக்தர்கள் நாடி வருவாய் தாயே பக்தர்கள் நாடி வருவாய் மேல்மலையனூர் அங்காளம்மா ஓடி வருவாய் அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே அங்காளம்மா
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
பொங்கவனோ தாயே பொங்கவனோ
பொங்கவனோ தாயே பொங்கவனோ
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அபிராமி சிவகாமி கருமாரியே எங்கள் சொற்காட்ட காளியம்மா தருவானியே
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
அங்காளம்மா தாயே அங்காளம்மா மேல்மலையனூர் தாயே பொங்கவனோ
Om Shakti, Parashakti, beautiful delivery as he places our mother. About Priolan Pillay with Malayanuru and Angaliye. That was a beautiful track. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue with the teachings of Lord Buddha straight after this.
Are you looking for transport from Lenasia south to surrounding areas for work? Look no further, contact Jones 083 298 5054.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swamiye Saranam. Welcome back, everybody. Alright, so as we're continuing with our show, as we are discussing Lord Buddha at hand, we just had Shashi Gussain help us out with the show today, all the way in London, so thank you for that, Auntie Shashi. And she spoke about who Buddha was, she spoke about Buddha's story, she also mentioned Gautama Buddha as well, and not forgetting the life and technique of Lord Buddha. So yeah, it was a brilliant delivery. Thank you so much. I learned a little bit more on the show today. Thank you so much, Shashi. Alright, so let's get to the history, the names and the titles of Lord Buddha. Now, if you look at it, right, according to Donald Lopez Jr., okay, he tended to be known as either Buddha or Sakyamuni. And this was in China, Korea, Japan, and Tibet, and as either Gautama Buddha or Samana Gautama, the ascetic Gautama in Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia, for those of you who didn't know. So Buddha, meaning the awakened one, or should I say enlightened one, is the masculine form of Bud, meaning to be awake, or to wake, or to observe, or to also heed and attend and learn and become aware of like the to know and be conscious again, basically. So it's basically to awaken and to open up, as does a flower. All right. So one who has awakened from the deep sleep of ignorance and opened his consciousness to encompass all objects of knowledge. It is not a personal name, but a title for those who have attained a bodhi. Bodhi meaning awakening or enlightenment, you know. So buddhi, the power to form and retain concepts, reason, discern, judge, comprehend, understand, is the faculty which discerns truth, meaning satya, from falsehood, you know. So the name of his clan was Gautama, and in Pali they say Gotama. His given name Siddhartha, in Sanskrit also known as P. Siddhartha, means he who achieves his goal. And the clan name of Gautama means descendant of Gautama, meaning the one who has the most light, and comes from the fact that Kshatriya clans adopted the names of their house priests. So while the term Buddha is used in the Agamas and the Pali Canon, the oldest surviving written records of the term Buddha is from the middle of the 3rd century BCE, when several edicts of Ashoka mention the Buddha and Buddhism. Ashoka's Lumbini Pala inscription commemorates the emperor's pilgrimage to Lumbini as the Buddha's birthplace, calling him the Buddha Shakyamuni. Now, if you look at it, a Brahmi script, right? They have something called a Brahmi script, and these were by the Buddhas, the sage of the Shakyas. Now, Shakyamuni in Sanskrit also means the sage of the Shakyas. Let's move to the Tathagata. Now, the Tathagata is a term the Buddha commonly used when referring to himself or other Buddhas in the Pali Canon. Now, the exact meaning of the term is unknown, right? But it is often thought to mean either one who has thus gone, meaning Tathagata, right? And one who has thus come, meaning Tata Agata, right? Or sometimes one who has thus not gone, Tata Agata. This is interpreted as signifying that the Tathagata is beyond all coming and going, beyond all transitory phenomena. Now, a Tathagata is immeasurable, inscrutable, hard to fathom, if I might say, and not apprehended. All right. Now, as you see, Shashi Gosai has mentioned other epithets, right? So there are a list of other epithets, and it's commonly seen together in the canonical text, and that depicts some of the perfected qualities, right? So there's something called the epithets that she mentioned as well, the Bhagavato or the Bhagavan, meaning the blessed one. Right, one of the most used epithets together with the Tathagata. There's also the Sama Sambuddhu, that's perfectly self-awakened in English. All right, then there's also the Vijakarana Sampano, the endowed with higher knowledge and ideal conduct. There's also the epithet called the Sugata, which is well gone or well spoken. And the Lokavidu, knower of the many worlds. I wonder if I could be a Loka Vedu. All right, and then there's many other epithets, and if you want to share with us your views, your beliefs, or your wisdom, please do comment at the bottom of the screen as we are talking about Lord Buddha this evening. So as we're talking about the epithets, right, let's continue. I failed to mention one that was called the Anattaro Parisadama Sarati, meaning this is unexcelled trainer of untrained people. Quite interesting. There's also another one called the Sata Deva. Okay, the Sata Deva Manasanam, that is teacher of gods and humans. First time I'm hearing of such. There's also another epithet called Araham, meaning this means worthy of homage. And Arahant is one with the taints destroyed, who has lived a holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached the true goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and is completely liberated through final knowledge. Then we also have Jina. Jina is the conqueror. Okay, although the term is more commonly used to name an individual who has attained liberation in religion Jainism, it is also an alternative title for the Buddha. Now, if you look at the Pali Canon, right, the Pali Canon also contains numerous other titles and epithets for the Buddha, and this is including all-seeing, all-transcending sage, bull among men, the caravan leader, dispeller of darkness, the eye, foremost of charioteers, foremost of those who can cross, king of Dharma, kinsman of the sun, helper of the world, also known as the Lokanatha, the lion mean the Siha, the lord of Dhamma, of excellent wisdom, radiant one, torchbearer of mankind, unsurpassed doctor and surgeon, victor in battle and wielder of power. Another epithet also used at inscriptions throughout the south and southeast of Asia is Mahashramana, meaning great Shramana, the ascetic, or the you call it the renunciate. Yeah. So as we talked about the epithets, we had Shashik Hussain help us with this conversation and the wisdom today, which is quite interesting. And I love the fact that we are learning about Buddha as it relates to Hinduism as well, which is nice, and it's a beautiful journey that we're having. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to educate you on Lord Buddha, let's take a look and jump to Vandana Naren as she praises Lord Shiva with Shiva. Hari Hari Mahadev. Welcome back. What a beautiful delivery by Vandana Naren, all the way from Winchester Hills, if I'm not mistaken, in Johannesburg. What a beautiful delivery as she praises Lord Shiva. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we are educating on Lord Buddha this evening, when we come back, we'll discuss what we're going to carry to on the part 2 of Life and Technique of Lord Buddha. It is about Lord Buddha, and maybe we'll call it part 2 on Monday, but we'll talk a bit about that when we come back straight after this commercial break.
See flooring differently. Innova Floor Santon. Contact us today.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam. Welcome back, everybody. Alright, so for those of you who just joined the show, I know you're a little late. It's fine. You can click on this link again a little bit later and watch the show again. Or if you just caught now, you can scroll on the YouTube bar, the live bar, and start the show again and watch it from the beginning. It won't make sense if you watch it now because you missed quite a bit as we spoke about the life and technique of Lord Buddha. This is episode 114 if you are taking notes somewhere, episode 114. And you can find out, find the show ever again if you're making notes of this. Alright, so quick summary. Okay, so we talked about who Buddha is, okay? Shashin Kasai all the way in London helped us with this. We spoke about Buddha's story, we spoke about Gautama Buddha and the life and technique of Lord Buddha. I also helped out with a bit of an intro with Buddha, and we spoke a lot about where he's from, how this started. It's like the origination of Buddha basically. We also mentioned the history and the names and the titles, not forgetting the epithets of Lord Buddha. And it's very interesting and very important to know the history of where everything founded from or originated from in Hinduism in order to understand the praise and the worship and why you do certain things that you do in our culture, right? So we also spoke about the Tathagata, and we also mentioned, as I said before, the epithets, and there's different epithets when it comes to Lord Buddha. So if you missed the show, do recap again. We're going to do a brief summary again on Monday, which I will make sure that I do, and we will continue with the show as we will talk about the sources. Like, you get the historical sources, you get different types of things that I can teach you about to understand more about Lord Buddha. We can talk about the historical person, the understanding of the historical person, and we're also going to talk about the dates, the dating back. Yes, we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about the historical context, like, you get your Shakyas and such. Yes, we're going to talk about that on Monday as well. We're going to talk about the Shramanas. It's going to be interesting. We're not going to forget the urban environment, especially when it comes to Lord Buddha. I want to teach you guys about the teachings and the views, the core teachings of Lord Buddha, which will be very interesting as it does relate to Hinduism as well. And not forgetting, we're going to talk about the 6 sense bases and 5 aggregates. I think that'll be quite interesting because everything will tie up and make sense to how and why we worship Lord Buddha. Alright, as you know, we've just come out of Navaratri, and a lot of people are like, oh, okay, we're back to being impure. Some people do intake meat. Some people do love their fish and their chicken, so yeah, I totally understand. So let's take a look at what the Meenakshi Sundareswara Koval Temple in Lanesha South Extension 1 on Starling Street are getting up to for Skanda Shasti.
The Meenakshi Sundareshwar Kovil invites you and your family to journey with us towards a blessed Skanda Shasti. 13th to 18th November. For more information, please contact Sharman or Dr. B. Maestri.
I think that's going to be fun since we have moved Actonville TV to Lenasia South. We have also been invited to go to the Meenakshi Sundareswara Koval Temple on Starling Street in Lenasia South, which will be a beautiful experience. Anything spiritual, for me actually, it doesn't matter which temple I'm in. You know, my worship, my bhakti, my shakti, my everything is there. So wherever I might be, it will always be a beautiful experience. We also have the Meenakshi Sundareswara Koval Temple advertising for their Kartigai Deepam. Let's take a look.
The Meenakshi Sundareshwar Kovil invites you and your family to journey with us towards a blessed Kartigai Deepam. 26th November, 9 a.m. For more information, please contact Sharman or Dr. V. Maestri.
And for those of you who are looking for a guru to perform the following services, which obviously you cannot do on your own, you need a guru to help you, please do contact Guru Indresan, as he can help you with your Jandagam, your astrological readings known as your Panchagam, your Navagraha Shanti, your house prayer, your business prayer, your car prayer, your temple and hall weddings, your ceremonies like your 16 days and your 1 year. Don't forget your Janda prayer, your auspicious Hawans, as well as your Kumbha Abhishekams. Please do contact Guru Indresan on 081 325 0115. I'll give you the number again. It's 081 325 0115. Alright, so for those services that are missing from Guru Indresan's list, you can contact Guru Prega. Alright, so Guru Prega, I like to call him a 24-hour guru. He's quite epic. Check out his list and his services, guys. Guru Prega can help you with your astrological readings as well as your spiritual cleansings, which is quite interesting. He can also help you with your cleansing prayers, your house prayers, your business prayers, your car prayers, your temple and hall weddings, your funerals, you know, and all as well as your ceremonies like your 16 days and your 1 year as well. He can help you with your Janda prayer, your auspicious Hawans, and yes, he can help you with your trance, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget your Kali prayers, your porridge prayers, your midnight prayers, your Murugan prayers, and he continues to say etc. To find out further information, you can contact Guru Prega on 082 578 3833. I'll give you the number again. It's 082 578 3833. As you know, whenever we come towards the end of the show on the Journey Show, we must teach you one lesson from the Tirukurul as we go to the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukurul. Today's lesson is sitting at number 34.
Today's lesson from the 108 principles of the value system from the Tirukurul is number 34. Cultivate good manners.
While I truly believe that shouldn't only be in the Tirukurul, that should be in every book, you know. Wherever you go, whatever religion or culture or race you may be, you have to have good manners. I mean, that's what makes you human. That's what separates us from the animals, yeah? Having good manners, morals, values, stuff like that. You know, today's lesson was quite simple. Cultivate good manners. Wherever I go, I always try to rub off on other people. I know, you know what, I'm not a perfect person, but I know I have a very, very good manners. Excellent mannerism, and wherever I go, if I see someone being rude, I'll be like, okay, watch your tone, change your tone, watch your rudeness, you know, speak properly, speak to me like how you would like to be spoken to. It's the only way to actually get along and have your, you know, humanitarians treat each other well. Alright, so as we've had a beautiful show today, a very, very big thank you to Andy Poonen, who's behind the camera, who helps me with the show. I must give a special thanks as well to Shashi Gusain, all the way in London, who takes time to send us this content and educate on Hinduism. A very big shout out to the Meenakshi Sundareswara Koval Temple, who allows us to use their name on our platform. So thank you so much. I'd like to give everyone a big thanks that interacts with us in the show, who drops us a like now and then. Don't forget, if you are watching the show for the very first time, please do subscribe to this channel if you haven't done it already. If you did, please click on the share button and share this link with all of your friends and loved ones, especially those who need a bit of guidance, especially in spirituality. As you know, with him up there, with God up there, the main one up there, there's always a will and a way, and they will find a better way through life. Alright guys, as it's come to that time where I have to love and leave you, wherever you might be, have a blessed evening, enjoy your weekend, stay safe wherever you are. God bless you. From myself, Kimera, Heeralal, Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Sai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Swami Saranam Ayyappa. Good night everyone.